Welcome back. This is still the Polity reaching you live from the Abuja studios of Kaftan Television. Like I said at the beginning of the program, happy International Women's Day to all our women out there. We'll be taking a discussion about the issues, the theme for the year, and what we can do to improve women participation across all spheres of life. I've been joined now by Mr. Jeremiah Hussaini. He's the Executive Director, the Begotten Educational Foundation. Would have had other guests in the house, but due to some irregularities. But anyway, thank you so much for joining us. Good afternoon.
Thank you.
All right. With the basics, it's International Women's Day. What do we have in mind this year in terms of celebrating women and improving things? I'd like to say something before we start. I don't like to take away the attention from what it should be. It's about women.
Correct.
But interestingly, we have this thing where men have issues that the International Men's Day actually happens to be the International Toilet Day, I think, and it doesn't really exist. But that aside, it is a day for women. So let's talk about that and how other things might be encroaching into this, trying to take that center space that should be for women.
Oh yes, I'm particularly happy, that today is the International Women's Day. March 8th of every year has been dedicated to celebrating women across the world, globally, basically to recognize the effort that they're putting in to making the world a better place to live in, and as well, also appreciating and acknowledging their efforts too in different roles that they play, across the world. And also, the day will not be complete actually without not just celebrating but lending voices to some of the challenges that women still face, till date. Yes. I mean, there are a lot of these challenges that are still facing today. As somebody who works, within the education space, I can tell you for fact that women are still the most disadvantaged when it comes to education anywhere in the world, because currently, there's a global statistics of over 120 million girls across the world who do not have access right now as we speak to quality education, to education at all, who do not have access to education at all due to some challenges, some forced labor, early child marriage, conflict and all of that. So there's still a lot of challenges that women are facing, and of course a day like this has been set aside for us to celebrate their impact towards making the world a better place, and also talking about those challenges and seeing how we can provide solutions to them.
All right. There's a lot to talk about. Before we head into the theme of the year specifically, we're still in the period of elections. We're just about 3 days away to the governorship elections, and we just got done with the Presidential and National Assembly. Something happened, and I'd like to get your thoughts on that. Is this 7 or 8? I hope I'm getting it correct. About let me put it this way: in the current National Assembly, all the women in the Senate will not be returning in the 10th Assembly. They either lost or did not run, or one thing or another. Although we have 3 new women coming, but it's a significant decrease in what we already had. And we've been, advocating for 35% affirmative action, which some people even say is not really fair, because in the world it's about 50-50 men and women, but somehow we're only asking for percentage. What does this mean for the future if none of the women who manage, because it takes a whole lot for women to even get there, who were able to get to these positions, not being able to return? Yeah,
that's a big problem. And also, let me just quickly add that that's one of the challenges that women are facing. Women in politics now, to be really specific, that's one of the challenges that women in the political space are facing. Especially in a country like ours, where it is permit my pidgin, dog eat dog. It's now like a dog eat dog situation where if you don't know who, regardless of credibility, you can't be there. And because it is actually a very, very hot zone, for lack of a better word. However, to also, shaping the narrative to the conversation we're having here today, women across the world today, especially women in Nigeria, right, today are not having conversations based on how many women came into the Senate or the National Assembly, how many women did they allow to become senators or governors or deputy governor, House of Reps. That's not what they are saying right now. They are saying that we should rather talk about the challenges instead of seeing women as disadvantaged or as less privileged individuals in the society. You know, just very early this morning, I saw a post from somebody who happens to be a gender expert. You know, posted something about congratulations and happy International Women's Day to the strong women out there. And he was dragged on social media. You know, ladies came out. I'm not talking about feminism. Like, ladies came out, women came out and were like, okay, so what are you quantifying women as strong women and stuff like that? And that was actually, you know, quote unquote offensive to some of them, and he apologized, right? So women right now, I was speaking with some ladies, you know, some women too before I got into the studio now, and they are saying that, you know, instead of coming up to say, okay, today International Women's Day, we have empowered women, we have set some, we have created some programs, some training, whatever, to empower women, quote unquote, you know, rather we should talk about the challenges, things that women are actually facing, things like, you know, lack of opportunities, you know, lack of equal pay, like the real issues, not talking about it as if, oh, they are less privileged individuals of the society, you know, they are very, very fragile, so they're like, hey, oh, so as men we are coming together, or as an institution, or as government, we want to put you know, special whatever for them because they can't do it, you know. I don't know if you get the if you get the drift. So that's basically it. Let's talk about why girls can't go to school. Let's ask parents question. Why would you prefer to send your boy child to school and leave the girl at home to hawk, you know, on the street? Why would you prefer to make that girl a political exchange currency to the next community or to your fellow kingsman just because you want to gain that land, that plot of land or something? Things like that. Like even in modern age, like right now, in families, looking at the Japa syndrome, some families would prefer to say, okay, the boy, the male child who is the last born, okay, you will be the one that the family will sponsor to Canada first. This other one stay. Even if the girls are actually the ones that are most qualified. These are normal issues. These are issues that are currently happening, even in, you know, at workplaces. You know, we see that, you know, there are still offices where women who are doing the same work, they say they're delivering the same deliverables as the male counterpart, are paid lesser. These are things that we should be looking at and discussing on a day like this as well. You know, and unfortunately, however, you know, the irony is that, you know, I mean, this is past 2 p.m. and, you know, I've seen statuses today, I've gone to IG and all of that. I'm seeing organizations, even in this city in Abuja, where you have all male celebrating International Women's Day, putting banners of, you know, embracing equity, and I'm like, you are not practicing it. So people just say it verbally, they just say it and, oh, let's just join in the celebration without really understanding what equity is and the benefit of this day and the challenges that we're supposed to be putting out there.
That is it. You've already touched on the issue, and it relates to the theme, which is digital. That's how it's written, you know, a funny play on words there. Innovation and technology for gender equality. When it comes to, you know, the world moving ahead, advancing technologically and all that, people might wonder, what's the issue with equity or equality here? You know, they say a computer cannot recognize a man or a woman. So if you can break it down, how do we get to this digital?
Okay, so the reason why we still even see a gap right now in that career space is because of the stereotype, the gender stereotype that has been, you know, mentioned in that particular whatever for a long time, right? Where right from primary school, even right from the home, you know, as a girl child, you're being told, no, STEM subjects basically is for men. You know, engineering, you know, that course, though, any career around engineering just for men. No, you can't play football, you know, sports and everything, just leave it for men. But, you know, women should take commercial subjects, you know, art courses and stuff like that, you know. And we are seeing it today. These were wrong philosophies, you know, bad stereotypes lives that went into our family systems 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 30 years ago, and we're seeing it today in the workforce, where you see less women. I mean, name the top 5 unicorns right now in Nigeria, and tell me the ones that is owned or owned by a prominent woman, right? But now, just now, we have industries, we have companies, that are complying with these regulations, that are saying, hey, yes, we are going to tackle these issues, recognize women for who they are, for the impact that they are bringing and the result that they are bringing up on the table, and give them the positions that they are qualified for. Say, for instance, let me mention Hilton's, for instance. Look at shareholdings. I mean, if you're counting from 1 to 5, I think you only see like 1 male there or something, right? And I'm not saying, oh, make it in such a way where it is now imbalanced, directly, affecting the other side. But I'm saying that, and that is what it's all about, making it balanced for everybody. That's what that's what embracing equity is all about. Recognizing the fact that you have to respect everybody, right? Regardless of their age, regardless of their tribe, regardless of their religion or belief, just on the basis of what they are qualified for.
So still pushing on now to digital spaces. There is an analogy where people make, I don't know what you make of it, that if you care enough about something, you will be willing to be what's the word, suffer for it, so to speak. So they say, okay, boys that love football, they weren't just given the free rein to play football. Most times they had to get flogged, beaten, denied other things they loved, and they kept going. They'd go in the rain and so on and so forth. And so there's this argument that women themselves are not naturally inclined. What do you make of that kind of thinking, that it's not that they're not women, or women are not here because they are stopping them, they're here because they don't want to be? Is there any thinking to that, really?
Actually, yes, there's a thinking to that, and my thinking to that is simple. Whenever I hear argument like that, I just basically say that the people that are promoting those arguments are the people that are limiting the success of this struggle, because that's still the same narrative, wrong narrative, biased, stereotypes bad stereotypes that we're talking about. Now, who are you, God? Did you create the woman? Were you there when God was creating the woman to say, oh, ye woman, this career is for you, that career is not for you, you can only do this? See, from birth, every child's mind is a tabula rasa. That is what the gods of psychology of this age will tell you. Whatever you plant them, whatever you allow the child do, they will develop certain skills. They will even become professionals in it. A girl may not play the football the same way. A girl child may not kick the football the same way a guy will kick it. That doesn't mean that if you fix an all-girls football competition, you will not see an expert. You will not see a girl who will perform so well because she has been exposed to training. She has been given the platform and the privilege and the right thought, the right frame of mind to practice how to play football. Right? They have different body systems biologically. So you don't expect a girl to toss the ball, to kick it, the same way a guy would do it. I mean, from the biological makeup alone should make you understand that, okay, they will do it differently. But however, the fact that two things are different doesn't make one superior to the other.
Thank you so much for that question. You actually helped me answer some persons I've had this discussion with, so it's great to hear that. Now, moving forward, what are the recommendations? I know you are in the education sector specifically, so how do we start to turn around? Because that is always the goal, to, while identifying the problems, it's not just about education. Actually, there's also issues of stereotypes and female genital mutilation and so on and so forth. But we always have to, be solution-based.
Correct.
So what is the way forward? And being that today is a day to encourage conversations, what are those things that you would want to put out there that people should start considering? All persons, I mean parents, men, women themselves, and just to make an analogy very quickly. There's a movie that came out recently. It's called Women Talking. And while women were debating being molested by some men, some persons brought the idea that, you know what, these men are also victims and they've learned the system. And we got to a point where I think one of the women was reiterating some of those rhetoric, and she just realized that we women are also good students of the system. So as much as men were conditioned or taught to become whatever they have become, it seems as though women have also learned to also be the ones to accept it and allow it happen.
Exactly.
So how do we change all of this?
Now, everybody has a role to play. Let me start from the home, which is the biggest educational institution in the world, the home. Now, at the home front, the parents need to change what they say to their daughters. Now, especially Nigerian parents need to change how they raise their girl child. The things they say, these bad stereotypes such as this career is not for you, this sport was not made for you, shouldn't be heard at the home front, shouldn't be promoted by parents at the home front. Parents should expose their children at home. Make your chores unisex. Make your choice. I was actually privileged to I know how to cook very well. Not like Chinese food or whatever, but I mean like normal traditional food very well. I can wake up, clean the house very well and do my things by myself and I'm okay, right? Because my parents made chores unisex. Anybody could do anything, right? So parents from the home front, they should make these things unisex and make your daughters understand that they can do all things. Make them understand if they put their will to it, if they dedicate time to it, they can actually do it. Of course, not to the extreme of them harming themselves or and all of that, but make them understand that they are limitless. Make them understand that they have what it takes, the potential to actually achieve much more than they can even imagine. So that is what the parents need to do from the home front. Now, in school, teachers need to go school owners, proprietors need to take their teachers for training, especially when it comes to gender balance, gender roles, gender activities. And of course in school, prefectship or leadership should be given to girls also. Now, not on the basis of trying to balance gender or whatever, but just based on pure and clean competence. Because if we start from the primary school level, start from the secondary school level, by the time they leave even tertiary institution and they now gain interest in politics, are trying to go into the main the oceans where the big fish are, it will be easier for them to come on confidently, knowing fully well the potential that they carry and contest and get into these offices. The main reason, not maybe like the main reason, but one of the key reasons why you see most women don't come outside, it also has to do with self-esteem issues, with doubt. Are you sure? Oh my God, look at these men. Are you sure? Because of the bias, because of the things, the negative information that the society has thrown upon them. We live in a society today where most people, a few people may not buy this, but that is, if you ask most ladies, they will tell you that one of the things they suffer even in today's world is no matter how much accomplishment they do, when you introduce them to, say, in a public space or whatever, you always hear a whisper. Some people asking, is she married? Is she married? There's as if it's a gap, as if it's one until you attain that one. All your achievement as a lady is baseless until you are married, until you are successful in marriage and stuff like that. You understand? So from the school, going back to the answer, from the school front, teachers need to know that and they need to be trained on this gender differences and how they can embrace it in school to avoid the spread of these stereotypes as well. Our curriculum needs to be adjusted so that it doesn't spread any form of stereotype in the classroom. Then of course the government has a role to play. Policies should be implemented to see that frameworks, policies and and stuff like that. Those policies should be implemented to see that it supports this movement, this fight, this solution that we are providing to the world, right? And the government themselves should be the ones to demonstrate the workability of these policies, because in a place like Nigeria, blueprints are not our issues. Oh, we have paperwork. We have blueprints for almost everything, right? It will even shock you if you dig up anything right now. Nigeria has a bylaw or something for it, right? But the practicability, the result, like make it functional, like implement it, enforce it. The enforcement of these things, is what I'm talking about here. So government should demonstrate leadership in some of these policies, to say, okay, you know what, you just mentioned the 30% affirmation, whatever. Now. Like, is it even something too hard to do for a government to do? It's not even something we should be talking about, right? It should be there in the Constitution, and of course, it should be enforced, right? It should be enforced, and again, talking about enforcement, even in terms of employment. These things should be enforced. Equity should be seen, demonstrating equity in terms of military recruitment, across ministries. These enforcements should be seen. Appointments, even. Okay, so now we have a new government, right? Okay, anyways, we do not really have a new government yet, but we have a president-elect. Let's wait and see what they said this is the era of renewed hope, yeah? Let's wait and see what will happen. In a sane society, right, we should expect that women should be given appointed into key position. Well, let's wait and see what will happen if they promote gender equity or not, because it's not just about celebrating it. Because of course, if you go to Twitter today, most of their handles, gender equality, everybody embracing equality, not just to post it or talk about it like Soros, okay, but no, let's wait when they get into office and exactly see what is going to happen. If they will actually, walk the talk, or just make Nigeria know that, don't worry, gender equity is just,
we'll wait and watch, and also we'll hold them accountable as best as we can. And you mentioned something interesting about allowing women into positions of power all the way from, schools and thereabouts. In some universities, speaking from my personal experience, I do know that there were times where the position of the class rep has to be a man, and the lady has to be the assistant class rep. There was never, I remember back then when I was in school, the first day I came into school as a fresher, there was a lady a fellow student who happened to take charge. She was the one handling things, calming the class down, doing everything. So automatically she was already the leader, so to speak. Yeah. But when it was time to elect, I said no, she can only be assistant. So vote for and it was very funny because there was a clear leader there. She now had to be an assistant. Yeah. Although at the end of the day she still did the job, but she used the term assistant. But I think that's what we need to fight against. It's not fair when people say women have there's a word they use, is it bottom power? Your power is behind. Women at the neck. Yes.
I was wondering why are you in the neck? There's never an explanation to that.
Yeah. So if you're going to if a woman has power, let her just have the power. It doesn't have to be behind closed doors. So anyway, thank you so much for coming, and thanks for sharing your thoughts today. That's what we take on this segment of the program. I'll leave you now with speeches from the United Nations from some persons regarding the International Women's Day. When we return, the program continues. Stay with us. We'll be right back.